We're here with Jon Casson, the chairman of the Snowboarding Sport Committee at USSA Congress. And Jon, first of all, an amazing Olympics again for snowboarding for USSA. And let's talk about what it takes to get to that point. I know there are some very good development projects in place right now that you talked about at your committee meeting. So tell us a little bit of the highlights of some of those projects that help to push athletes up to that top.
Well, we're in our, probably 8th, 10th year of running the Project Gold Camps, which take place for freestyle at Mammoth Mountain and for border cross, snowboard cross at Mount Hood. And we just have record numbers coming over the past probably 3-4 years. We're probably getting over 100 athletes in free ski and snowboard coming to both of those camps. We drill down into the almost 9-10-year-old age group for some junior gold camps. And it really creates a good carrot on a stick for those athletes as they're moving through the development pipeline within their clubs. And they get to ride alongside a lot of U.S. team athletes in several instances, so it's really a good inspiration for those young and up-and-coming kids coming through our pipeline.
The U.S. has a strong history of success in snowboard cross. I know you discussed some projects relative to that discipline.
Yeah, we sat down, we created a snowboard cross working group, and it was myself, Ross Hinman, who runs the International Snowboard Training Center, Ross Powers, who's a snowboard cross athlete himself, and runs Stratton Mountain School snowboard program. And we sat down with Peter Foley and Jeff Archibald, who are the snowboard cross coaches. And we discussed several issues about snowboard cross development. In particular, we're in a unique situation where there's non-national team athletes competing on the World Cup. So we have club level athletes essentially competing at the World Cup. And then when they move to the national team, we talked about that transition and how we can better facilitate that transition. We also spoke about trying to develop more female athletes in snowboard cross. It seems to be an area where we're lacking in the pipeline right now, and what we can do to attract more female athletes to snowboard cross.
Can you give us a quick outline of the event structure for snowboard cross here in the United States?
Absolutely. We start with our USASA events where kids are competing at the grassroots level, very entry-level events, very basic courses, just fun, getting the idea of how the sport runs. Then when they're ready, at the age of 15, they can move up into our Revolution Tour events, and that's a FIS level event. When they're ready to move on to the next step, that's our Whole Shot Tour, which is part of the North American Tour, the Noram Tour. Once they are seeing success at the Noram Tour and either gaining FIS points or winning the Noram overall, they move on to the World Cup. Then hopefully from there, World Cup titles, national team, Olympic bronze medals, gold medals, whatever comes next.
Cool. And then I know that in halfpipe, which has been an event the U.S. has had success in since snowboarding came into the games in '98, definitely staying on top of things there. And tell us a little bit about what you're finding with halfpipe right now.
Well, halfpipe is a really challenging event because it's just such a cost-intensive venue for resorts to build. So we're seeing a decline of halfpipes at resorts around the country, particularly in 22-foot pipes, which is the standard competition level. So we tossed around some ideas about how we can partner with the resorts a little bit better, how we can encourage USASA entry-level events and resorts to build smaller halfpipes so that younger kids can get into pipes and feel more comfortable and get into that development pipeline. But we're definitely seeing a decline in numbers in halfpipe, and it's been our bread and butter for years, and we have an amazing team at Project Gold. We have an amazing national team. They're some of the best in the world, and we just want to keep that pipeline locked and loaded.
And then finally, alpine snowboarding. I know you had some discussions relative to possible initiatives there.
Yeah, alpine snowboarding has been, a staple of the Olympics in 1998, and we've seen declining numbers in alpine snowboarding as well. And as a result, USSA made a strategic decision several years ago to not have centralized funding for an elite level team for alpine snowboarding. That has resulted in some smaller numbers and just some difficulties in athletes funding themselves on the World Cup Tour. So we formed an Alpine working group that's going to look at two things. One is finding some sources for funding for our elite level athletes, and the other one is directing more development opportunities to try and attract and retain aspiring snowboard racers who are interested in Alpine and want to stick with it.
What about funding?
Funding obviously is that's the buzzword around the whole building. I mean, that's what we do. We fund athletes at USSA, and it's extremely difficult to make those hard choices. But with recent developments with the Nordic Combined program here at USSA, Tigers launched an initiative now to allow targeted funding towards specific disciplines. And that's great news for alpine snowboarding because we haven't had a centralized resource where people can direct if they want to support financially and specifically donate money to support alpine snowboarding. They haven't had an avenue to do that. And with some of these new initiatives that are yet to be fleshed out in detail, that gives us a great opportunity for people who want to support the sport.
Great. Thank you. Jon Casson, chairman of the Snowboarding Sport Committee at USSA, with a little recap from USSA Congress 2014.